Greetings. Welcome to pre-lab number 1, Phylogeny. You're to work on this for your week 1 lab assignment. What we have here in the lab reports, you have this video, a handout to print out, and a PowerPoint full of pictures of lab specimens. So as we walk through this, I'll refer to your handout, I'll refer to the PowerPoint. When you're done with your lab activity, you will create the Word file, submit to the Dropbox, and submit whatever pictures you've taken to the Dropbox as well as a JPEG file, or you can save them as a PowerPoint presentation. Those are the two easiest ways to do it. Phylogeny is classifying organisms. We're going to do an entire unit of it down the road, but our lab is to introduce us to all of the organisms that we are going to learn. In your orientation folder, you have field guides. I made PowerPoints of all the organisms we've seen over the past 10 or 15 years as a class on our field trips. And I categorized them and made them into PowerPoint, so you have a point of reference to local species with their common names. You're going to be responsible for common names and placing them in the correct phyla and looking at their characteristics. So the 6 kingdoms, Archaea or Archaeobacteria, Eubacteria, Protista, fungi, plant, and animal. Each kingdom is further subdivided: phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So if you look at division, or domain, did, king for kingdom, Philip, come over for green spaghetti. That's a mnemonic device to help remember all of the categories. The scientific name is binomial, meaning 2 names, binomial nomenclature. Genus, species, Homo sapiens. Homo is the genus, sapiens is the species. Always capitalize the genus, always lowercase the species, underline if writing, italicize if using a computer. The first kingdom, Archaeobacteria, characteristics that really you need to know: they have a protein coat, not really a cell wall. They are only found in extreme environments: hot water, extremophiles, thermal vents, no oxygen, very acidic environments. They're the most numerous organisms on Earth. You have billions of them living in your colon. Not a pleasant thought, but it's true. More in your colon than there are human beings on Earth. Highly acidic, no oxygen environments. So they're extremophiles. And they don't have a nucleus. No eukaryotes do. No prokaryotes do, apologize. But they are believed to be the simplest life form. The eubacteria are the true bacteria. They have no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles. They do have cell walls, though, so they're different, more complex. They're characterized by their shape, round, rod, or spiral. So if you get a streptococcus, that's a circular bacteria. Coccus means circle. Bacillus is rod-shaped. Spirillum is spiral. Protista, that is the catch-all kingdom because you have animal-like protists, heterotrophs, meaning they have to eat, plant-like protists, autotrophs, meaning they photosynthesize, fungi-like protists, they're saprophytes, they heterotrophically eating enzymes dissolving and decaying and then taking in the nutrients, absorbing them. It's called saprophytes. They're different though, they're different. They have nuclei, they have mitochondria. Most are single cell, some are colonia. They can't be giant like kelp, but they're still colonial. They don't have true tissues and true organs. The fungi reminds me of a story. A mushroom, which is a fungi, a mushroom walks into a bar, sits down. Bartender comes up, looks at him, says, "You gotta get out of here. We don't like your kind." Little mushroom was sad. Little mushroom, what's wrong? What's wrong? Little mushroom tear and his little mushroom hypha. Bartender goes, "Well, I don't like blue cheese. Happens to be a mold. Don't like mushrooms on my pizza. No fried mushrooms. I even take ranch with my chicken wings." I mean, who takes ranch with their chicken wings? I'll never know. But whatever. Mushroom, very upset, goes, "Well, why can't I stay? I'm a fun guy." All right. The mushrooms we will see in the marine environment are lichens, which are actually a mushroom and an algae living in symbiosis. We may see some bracket fungi growing on trees, but they are decomposers. They have nuclei, so they're eukaryotic. They do not photosynthesize. They absorb nutrients, but they're rare in the marine environment. Plants are kind of rare in the marine environment as well. Usually algae is the photosynthetic, which fall under Protista. We do see the mangroves. We do see seagrass, which are the only true submergent plant all the way under. We see Spartina, salt marsh grass. Those are the major plants living in the water, but we study the maritime forest, so we see a lot of other plants. They're photosynthetic, multicelled, they have a nucleus, they have multicelled sex organs. We classify them in a number of ways. We'll look at their classification. First are bryophytes. Bryophytes are the simplest plants. They do not have vascular tissue, so they're tiny. Mosses are what we see, mosses. Spore-producing plants, they're bigger. They do have vascular tissue, but they do not make seeds. They use spores. A spore is just a single cell that is dispersed without protein, without a seed coat, without nutrients for the young. It's just the embryo, it's the cell, out, puff. Ferns are the main sporulating plant that we will see. Gymnosperms make seeds, but they do not have flowers. They use cones or other ways to reproduce. So they're not the most complex, but they're palm trees, giant pine trees are gymnosperms. And then angiosperms are the flowering plants. They're the most diverse. The flower is the reproductive organ. The fruit is a ripened ovary full of seeds. Seeds have nutrients for the young. They're the most complex of the plant groups. Animals, our last kingdom. We're going to note some characteristics. The symmetry, there's radial or round, very simple like a jellyfish. They can have sensories in all directions, but they're very simple. A bilateral symmetry is what we have, two equal halves. Now, the echinoderms, which includes starfish, have a unique five-fold, because they have 5 rays, five-fold radial symmetry as adults. And then there's some asymmetric organisms as well. Cephalization is the presence of a head. That head allows for brain, sense organs, a direction. The digestive system, there's 2 types. The sac digestive or incomplete, where food enters and exits one body opening, or the tube within a tube digestion, which allows food in, waste out, 2 separate holes. That coupled with cephalization means an organism can move in a direction and eat and pass waste and not stop. The body cavity, simple organisms don't have internal organs. Complex organisms have organs. And that bag of organs, the coelom, we'll talk about that when we talk about animal reproduction. You have external skeletons, like the arthropods. They have an external hard skeleton that they have to mold. You have internal skeletons, like mammals, that have internal bones. Shells are not considered skeletons, though. They're different. Their calcium carbonate is taken from the seawater and laid down externally. So a shell's not a true skeleton. And then segmentation. Arthropods are famous for segmentation. Annelid worms are segmented. Human muscles segmented with myomers. So segmentation is another characteristic that animals may display. The phyla, which we're going to learn, and you're going to have to familiarize yourself. The porifera, that literally means pore-bearing. Those are the sponges. The cnidaria, it has a C, but it's pronounced cnidaria. Kind of reminds me of a pteropod. How come you can't hear a pteropod going to the bathroom? Silent P. Right. Okay. Pterodactyl, pteropod, cnidaria, silent C. Ctenophora, another silent C, ctenophora. Cnidaria and ctenophora used to be members of a phylum called Coelenterata, but we've separated them. Cnidaria have stinging cells. Ctenophora do not have stinging cells. They both have gelatinous bodies. Ctenophora have feeding combs. Annelids are segmented worms. Mollusks include the clams, which would be bivalve, the snails, which would be gastropod, and the octopi and squid, which would be cephalopod. Now, there's a couple of smaller groups of mollusks that we don't often see. We will address them. One is the chitin. Chitin is segmented. It's kind of between the annelid and the mollusk. We may see some of them. Very rare. The arthropods, we generally see two groups. One is the horseshoe crab. They're totally unique. They are from an extinct lineage. They're a living fossil. They have blue copper-based blood. Then we see the crustaceans. The crustaceans are everything from barnacles to crabs, lobsters, the arthropods. Echinoderms means literally translates to spiny skin. The echinoderms include the sea urchin, sea stars, starfish, sea stars, brittle stars. They are cool. Their blood is seawater. They pump seawater in and out, and that's how they circulate things in their body, using seawater. And then the chordates are famous for the dorsal nerve cord and the central nervous system. That's us, chordates. We're the vertebrates chordates. There's a few invertebrate chordates as well. So the activities, when you complete your assignment, please cover. All answers should be in paragraph form. Illustrations and photographs, diagrams, and tables should all be included. If your photographs, you have photographs, you can refer to them and put them in a separate file as a PowerPoint or JPEGs. Just say photographs in separate file in your write-up, because I need you to do your write-up in a Word so I can open it and use it, or a compatible format at least. And then you should have a citation page listing all websites that you viewed, all the book references, any photographs that you used from the internet. Sometimes you may have to. Most of the times you'll be using your phone or whatever camera you have. And then you have to credit everything you use with the exception of class notes, including our field guide, because there's a lot of information. So you should give me a list of references at the end. The first, observe specimens on the table or the PowerPoint, because this is the virtual lab, so you do have the PowerPoint I referred to. Complete the table. So common name, the kingdom, phylum and class. You may have to do some legwork and look a few things up, internet, websites. our book, lifestyle, whether it's a plankton, a drifter, a benthon living on the bottom, or a nekton, a swimming, and trophic level. Trophic level would be autotroph, that's a photosynthesizer. Heterotroph, carnivore. Heterotroph, omnivore. Heterotroph, detritivore. Detritivore eats the seafloor or filters the water, having organics. How it gets its food. Now, I listed the phyla for you. Sketch one representative of each phylum. Now, on a word, you might sketch and take a picture of it, and then submit the pictures as a separate file. Or you may type out your document, take a picture of the entire document, and submit that as a JPEG. Either way is fine. As long as I can open it and read your work, then we're good. Visit a beach or a park on the sea, photograph 10 organisms, complete a table. So this is beyond the PowerPoint. 10 different things you find. Include the location, the conditions of where you visited. You don't have to do that for each organism. Today I visited Fort DeSoto. The weather was sunny. All the organisms I found were in the sand. That's a substrate, sand, mud, whatever. The tide was moderate, whatever you get. And I found this on the beach. I found this in the mud, etc. Then a couple questions. How are organisms named scientifically? We mentioned it. And then describe the scientist Carolus Linnaeus's contribution to science. Don't forget those references. Okay? So that's the crux of our lab. Do a good job. I generally give 2 weeks from assignment date to have it complete, so you may have a couple of different things going at once. But do a real good job and have some fun. Go to a good park. Enjoy a day. Thank you.